Hey, what's going on, everybody? Happy Friday. Hope you guys are all having a good one. Big slate tonight, lots of ways to go, and it is a tricky one in terms of pitching and not so tricky, in my opinion, in terms of hitting. I think you have a lot of really good options. Um, I'm going to go through my pitching in a minute, but honestly, I don't feel good about any of the pitching, and anything you want to do is fine with me because I really, really think this is one of the tougher pitching slates we've had, especially when you want to pay up for some of the bats that I want to pay up for. So in terms of hitting, my stack and factoring everything in is Atlanta, the White Sox, the Dodgers, Colorado, and then the A's mini stacks, maybe even a full stack for the A's. I actually think this is not a bad time to do it. You could play a 4-4 with them, and that way you can sort of get to the Dodgers or Braves. That's the route I would choose to go. I am going to take some giant gambles at pitching because I just don't feel that anybody yet is that great at the top. McClanahan has got a little bit of a knee issue. Look, 11K is just going to be hard for me to get to on the slate, so I'm going to have to move past it. If I was playing on FanDuel, I think I would play McClanahan or Peralta. Because I'm not playing those guys very much. I'm not playing much John Gray. I'm not playing much Pablo Lopez. I'm not playing much Griffin Canning. I am going to play Dean Kremer. I am going to play some Bryce and Bobby Miller. The problem I'm worried about Bobby Miller is the weather in that game definitely looks a little iffy, which also could be trouble for the Dodger bats in terms of not getting a full game in. But I do like the Bobby Miller and Bryce Miller combination if you can afford it. It's kind of tricky. I'm also going to have some Soroka. I'm going to have like a tiny bit of Medina. I have some Ronel Blanco. Some Carlos Carrasco, guys who I really don't want to play, but I don't think it's that prime of a matchup for Peralta. I don't think somebody might end up getting 30 and just going off Pablo Lopez, Shane McClanahan, Freddie Peralta, probably most likely. McClanahan hasn't put up 30 this year and he's been awesome. Just to give you an idea of how hard that is going to be. So if I can get pitchers to get me 15 and get me over with my stacks, that's sort of the route I'm going. Texas is, you can play Texas, but like I way prefer the other teams. Like I said, I actually don't mind Blanco here against Texas. So I am not as high on Texas, and I would rather play the Dodgers and Braves at these prices than I would Texas. That's my answer. So they're not for me, but they're totally fine to stack. I mean, I just not my style to stack a good against a good bullpen and a pitcher who, even though we go, we don't know his name. He gives up home runs, but he's also worked deep enough in the games for me to consider him viable. And I don't know. I just don't like Texas as much as I like the other stacks today. It's not a great hitting day in Coors. Otherwise, the Rockies would be higher for me. I think you'll see some pretty high ownership on some of Detroit, and I'm going to have some of those guys as pieces. But mostly, you got the wind blowing in 9 miles an hour at 69 degrees. So it's not as good a hitting day in Colorado as we've seen in the past, which is why the Dodgers, again, have the highest run total, I believe. The Braves are really close. Let me just double check the updated run totals. Where did I have? What happened to my Braves here? Sorry about that. Yeah, the Braves and Dodgers are like neck and neck for the highest run totals. The Braves are just, average of 5,200 per player. The Dodgers, top of their lineup is, what do they average? 5,700, 5,600. It's just tricky. It's a tough slate. So that's why I'm using Oakland pieces to mix in, and that's why I'm using some very, very shaky pitching options. And for what it's worth, if I wasn't so high in Atlanta, I'd probably play some Hoeing too, just to try and get my 14, 15 possibility. Great hitting conditions in Atlanta. Probably even better hitting conditions in Kansas City with the Dodgers there. So it's just, Atlanta's a better hitter's park, but you have 94 degrees in Kansas City with 12-mile-an-hour winds out to right. Atlanta, 88 degrees, 8-mile-an-hour winds out to left. Yeah, both great hitting condition spots, no doubt about it. And even part of my interest in Oakland is that Oakland is in a much better hitting condition spot than they usually are. So I'm going to have to do some shuffling. But as of right now, my pitchers are Kremer, the Millers, Canning, Carrasco, Soroka, Blanco. Getting really ugly with a lot of it. Medina. And even though I'm stacking against most of my pitchers, just because I want to play some of these big stacks, and that's sort of my best way to. Even if I want to play Oakland as a complimentary, I still kind of can't really spend in the 9Ks for both my pitchers, and so I'm just avoiding it and hoping that I can get that 30 combination from my pitchers, or maybe get lucky and get a 35 combination from my pitchers, and hope that nobody else puts up more than 25 to 27 on their own. So definitely a tough slate. Not playing a ton of lineups, but did want to get some stuff in there. Just I haven't changed my lineups yet from the lineups I posted on the site for those of you who are premium members, but I will be changing them a little bit to add a little more Dodgers, to add a little bit more Colorado would be the two teams that I'm going to add to that I didn't have. My catcher, Carlos Perez, Jake Rogers, Sean Murphy. First base, Matt Olson, Andrew Vaughn, Vogelbach. Second base, Jonah Bride, Ozzie Albies, Tim Anderson, and White Sox stacks only. Ibanez, and yeah, that's my main ones. Austin Riley, Jake Berger, Josh Donaldson at third. Ledmus Diaz, Javier Baez, Orlando Arcia, Francisco Lindor at short. Outfield, the highest owned player is Acuna. I love Brent Rooker tonight. Have some Pavin Smith one-offs, Luis Robert and Eloy Jimenez, and then Ozuna, Rosario, and Blade rounding it out. So pop in your questions, pop in your thoughts, pop in what you guys are doing, and I'll jump in there. So Braves, Dodgers, Rockies, Yankees, any like pieces. I didn't say anything about the Yankees at all, so I don't know where the Yankees came from. But the Yankees, I see more as just, I mean, they're fine. I think they're more of a team I just would take some of the cheap pieces from. Josh Donaldson has sort of rejuvenated a little bit lately, so that's one thing. But I'm not playing the Yankees for what it's worth at all. And I also worry about that game too, just like the Dodger game. I'm worried about that one too. So you got Bido. I think it's totally fine. It's just everybody. It feels like a gamble, no matter who you're pitching, with the possible exception of McClanahan. But even that, they're very easy with their pitchers, and he's got that knee issue. So you're going to have to be aware that there could be one of those shorter outings. And when I don't see the ceiling, I'm just going to take my shots elsewhere, and that's why I'm not playing as much of McClanahan as I would definitely like to. All right. What else you guys got questions wise? It's Friday, so I know there aren't as many people around, but say your thoughts. I'm tilted on the golf. Hideki being just massacring some really beautiful lineups. Just really, really frustrated with that one. So I am not going to be doing the 6 of 6 thing very much because I have a lot of Hideki and a lot of Tom Kim. So too bad for me on that one, but it's kind of a shame because my 5 of 6s, though, who knows? Maybe that might be good enough because some of these chalky guys didn't make the cut. Taking a shot on St. Louis, just a feeling. Go ahead. I would warn you guys about the weather there. That weather is just as dangerous as the Dodger weather. So keep in mind that you could end up with a shorter game. You could end up with a weird delay. You could end up with at worst to postpone. And just keep in mind that is a possibility. All right, let's see what else we have here. Okay. And yeah, I'm waiting on you guys. Pretty much went through everything I'm doing on this slate. Not playing on FanDuel today. If I did, I would be spending up a pitcher because it's a lot easier to get him guys in. So that's what I would be doing over there. But yeah, drop in any questions or thoughts and we'll go from there. But if there's nothing else, I'm probably going to get out of here if no one else is around. Me and Sheets can't just BS together. It's a little easier to keep the shows going when that happens. So yeah, pop in any thoughts or questions. And if not, I will be out of here in any second. I'll be in Discord all night, by the way, for anything that comes up. I like what Rhodey wrote in Discord, his last few things. I think that you can build some interesting lineups with Colorado. And I think that's a very, very viable. It's a better Colorado lineup than we've seen in a while. The problem is I'm not in love with the hitting conditions, given the fact that it is Colorado, but you're going to get low ownership. So I don't think it's as bad. It just looks the lineup just looks a lot better with Chris Bryant in there. Freddie, I don't know what that means. Peralta? Freeman? Um, Freddie Peralta is totally fine. I'm not going out of my way to spend 9,700 on a guy who I think more times than not gets you 20 fantasy points. And I'll take the discount and take cheaper. So your strategy tonight is roster construction. That's an interesting question. That's a strategy every night, I would say. But no, I don't. My ownership, I mean, the Dodgers are the only team that has any ownership at all. Really, like that I'm playing. So not really worried about it. The Braves are going to have one player above 10% owned. The Dodgers will have probably 3 or 4. The White Sox will have probably 2, maybe 3. So yeah, my strategy is to play the teams that I like the most and the ones that I can afford. Thoughts on the Twins? Literally never for a second considered them. I like Kremer a lot. He's the highest I'm paying for a pitcher at the moment. So the Twins are affordable. Sure, you can play them and just hope, but there's nothing that makes them look like a good stack in any way. Kremer doesn't walk people. He doesn't. He gives up a decent amount of power, but that's He's also works deeper into games, and he's only given up more than 3 runs once in his last 11 starts. So not for me. San Francisco, from Clay. San Francisco is, let me just grab why I think San Francisco is completely viable. I didn't get there myself, but I completely understand it, and I would have no problem stacking San Francisco. So yes on San Francisco. Not especially interested. I mean, I'm not getting to them personally, but I do think they are interesting. But you got to realize you're not just playing against Carrasco; you're playing against everything else. And even as bad as he's been, he's getting that like 1 home run, 2, 3, 4 runs, like kind of a game. And I completely understand the San Francisco thing. There's just a lot of stacks. Like I literally like 15 stacks tonight, but I'm not going to stack 15 teams. So I totally understand. The weather is probably going to be more okay. Now that I look at it again, it looks a little bit safer, not much, in St. Louis than Kansas City, but both are definitely a concern. And yet I'm still playing some Dodgers and some Bryce Miller, so can't really knock any of the plays at all. No problem with it, Rich. Just not for me. But again, doesn't mean it's a bad play. It just means I'm not doing it. All right, what else we got? What do you think about San Francisco, Texas, Miami stacks? Texas, I just answered that one. I do like Texas. I'm sorry, San Francisco, I just answered that one. I do like San Francisco. I just didn't get to them, but they would be one of the next teams I would have considered. I have no problem if you want to stack San Francisco. At Texas, I prefer the Dodgers and I prefer Atlanta, and they're similarly priced. So that's why I'm not playing Texas, but again, totally understand it. Just not a reason for me to go there. Miami, I would just flat out say that there's no way I would play a Miami stack. I think that would be, it's just definitely not my favorite. Like Soroka hasn't, he had the weird outing against Arizona earlier, but then he hasn't really pitched in a while, and he's sort of coming back, and then it turns into like a bullpenish game. I'm not especially interested in Miami, but I can't write them off. It's good hitting weather. If you want to take a shot there, I think that's totally viable. But you're paying a lot for them. Like they're expensive because they had a nice trip up in Boston, and this is another good hitting spot. But I don't know. Like if I'm going to spend up, I'm going to do Atlanta or the Dodgers. I'm going to go for the teams that I think are going to provide the most upside, not just in the runs they score, but how they score runs. But yeah, I mean, you could definitely make an argument for the Marlins. They didn't make it for me. But like this is what you're going to find tonight is every one of those is extremely viable to me, and at the same time, every one of those I just didn't get to them. Like I just think there's a lot of really viable stacks. We had a 15 gamer where we only had like 3 or 4 stacks that I thought were like extremely not viable, but like really really good. Now tonight, I think there's like 11 stacks at least, maybe higher, maybe like 14 stacks that are really, really good. Anyway. All right. Anything else before we get out of here? Please hit the like button, guys, so we can keep doing the videos for free. Happy to touch on anything else you guys are doing. The more I think about it, I think there is a good argument for, I think San Francisco would be the preferred of these other stacks that I'm not using. The only issue is you always run the pinch hit risk situation with them, but I do think that they are viable. And it's better hitting conditions in New York than usual. 11-mile-an-hour winds blowing out to left, 78 degrees, nice weather, 54% humidity, all decent hitting weather. And San Francisco stack is actually kind of interesting. And you've got the Wilmer Flores and the righty, which is nice because that means he's more likely to stay in the game. So I'm in on the San Francisco if you want to go that route. I totally get that. That New York, when it gets hot in New York, boy, I'll tell you, it's a whole different thing. People don't understand on the West Coast until you travel out there quite a bit. Like I'm a West Coast guy, but spent the summer in New York a number of times, and man, that's a different type of heat than we experience out here on the West Coast. It's just it can get muggy and it's all humid. Anyway, guys, I appreciate you all very much. I'm going to get out of here and say good luck to everybody. We'll see you in the premium Discord later, and let's make some money tonight, guys.